I'm here with the family.
Bryce, XXV, Double I,
Rome,
D-Malo, Gruff Lion,
T-Buggy, man.
just the greatest sports show on the planet. La Familia. Hope y'all ready for a ride.
Can't wait to hear what you guys got to say.
Yeah, that joint got that bob to it. What up? It's guys represent sports for the culture. For the people that was here, we hitting them with that back to back in case y'all didn't get the message. You feel me? The help to the culture squad, just basically just did a double shift. Appreciate y'all boys coming in for the guys present sports for the culture. I'm the host for the night. You feel me? Some people know me as Scruff. Some people know me as Nick. Some people could catch me on social media at Spiritual Alchemist 22, and some people don't know me at all, man. All right, top left, introduce yourself.
Bryce XXV Double I, aka Mr. Big Leaguer, man. Excited for tonight's show. Slow time in sports, but if you're true to this, you still tapped in with your team right now in training camp. So excited to get to some of these training camp topics, man. Let's get it.
Yeah, for sure. Tough time in sports. It got me rewatching shit. You feel me? Watching the classic games and shit. That Eagle Super Bowl. Still gets runtime in my house. Bottom center.
Yeah, man, you know who it is, your boy Young Rome 22 on all socials as always. We just had a great help to the culture. So, Commanders fans are definitely tapped in. Things are looking bright if you're a Commanders fan. But it is a slow time in sports in general, man. But NFL is right around the corner, and right before you know it, it'll be that time of year again.
Yeah, man. The NFL season is approaching. This is the calm before the storm. It is coming. Training camp news has been, training camps have been happening. Things have been happening, amongst a few things. We won't get into we're going to get into some in more detail, but let's just give you some news and notes, I think it was like last week, Justin Fields rolled his ankle. Next day, he's just, they talk about he's out for the season. Next day, he's just skipping around like it's nothing, bro. So it's the season of overreactions. It's the season of paying attention to every little thing. It's the season of Shador Sanders went 12 for 12 in the 7-on-7. It's like, okay, great, thank you for that update. You know what I'm saying? But there's some actual shit going on. Most relevant is the contract stuff that's been going on. Two people come to mind immediately. For y'all Commanders fans, y'all know y'all boy Terry McLaurin. I guess y'all call that a hold in. Because the brother in the facility, he out there doing hot yoga and shit. I don't know what he doing. But he out there basically right in the same town as everybody. He just not practicing because they not giving him his contract. Obviously, that's an ongoing thing. But what we do have is another guy, Trey Hendrickson, who was holding out with the Bengals, one of their few defensive players that actually knows how to play NFL football, and he decided to show up for work. Effectively, I guess, ending his holdout, right? Or maybe he's thinking he's showing up to work in what they say, good faith. In the negotiations. But fellas, man, I don't know. We can jump into both of them, but which is the more noteworthy news? Trey Hendrickson coming back to camp, or Terry McLaurin's hold in? Rome, we'll start with you on this one.
Honestly, I would say Trey Hendrickson coming back, because that whole thing has been drawn out for a long time. The Terry thing kind of crept up out of nowhere, and it got scary real fast, to quote Bryce. But Trey Hendrickson's been asking for his money for quite some time. I want to say around the time the season ended, and they already paid two other people a lot of money. So it's not like the Bengals are willing to be cheap or anything like that, man. So I think his holdout made a lot of sense on why he was willing to actually not show up. But I think we talked about it a little bit last week, and T made the point, like, the Bengals were bad with him. You know what I mean? So they're probably considering it like, if I pay you another bag, like, are we any better, or did I just pay you a lot of money? So I think it's a bit of a tough spot, but he's already made his stance pretty clear. He said he's willing to sit out the whole year. So I guess if it comes down to that, we'll see if push really comes to shove.
Yeah, man. You know the Bengals, man. They seem like the kind of folks that they'll go to the store and buy a whole bunch of shit and not really balance their budget, and their checkbook. And then they be looking at the end of the month like, damn, I only got $5 left. Holy shit. Um, Top left, Bryce, man. What's your thoughts on these two situations? What you feel like is more newsworthy?
Yeah, that's tough because I did think Trey Hendrickson was gonna hold out strong, man. Because he really when he spoke a bit earlier in the offseason, he had some real strong words for the Bengals front office. But then again, we got to remember these are just words; these are just negotiating tactics. This is just business, right? And I think that's what we're seeing here in both situations. If I had to say like which one's a little more surprising in its current state, I'd say Trey Hendrickson. But the Terry deal becomes more surprising if it continues to, go like this, right? If we get to the end of, let's say, or middle of August and Terry's not signed, I think if you're a Commanders fan, you really got to start worrying about this, right? We were just on with Lake Lewis, me and Ron, a bit earlier. He said, no Terry, no Super Bowl. And if you're a Commanders fan, you really have Super Bowl hopes this season. Terry is a main ingredient. On the flip side, if you're a Bengals fan, like a team that's like void of defensive stars right now, they probably feel the same way about Trey Hendrickson. So both these players are very crucial to their team's success, and both are on teams that have plans to go far this season. So you start to wonder why the teams don't just bite the bullet and pay the player and get it over with. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it brings into the bigger conversation of team building. We talk about the Commanders. I think there was some conversation pre-show about what's the value of Terry McLaurin? What is he worth in terms of dollars and cents? What people are getting paid on the market tends to be what the market ends up being. But is that always the right value? And those were good teams and great teams and bad teams separate themselves. When it comes to the Bengals, I've never been a fan of the way they build their team. You know what I'm saying? If I'm being honest, me personally, I would have probably took that money that was spent on T. Higgins and probably put that on Trey Hendrickson, and then I probably would have drafted a young receiver and just hoping I got the right one. You know what I mean? To go opposite Jamar Chase, because when you build a team with probably the highest paid receiver in the league, and then you're gonna put another bag on the other receiver, and there's 22 other stars. You know what I'm saying? Like 22 starters, like 20 remaining spots left. Joe Burrow, you covered, and now what you got? What the rest of your team looking like? Makes it harder for you to build your defense when you know what I'm saying. So I don't know. I don't like the way these teams is building, to be honest. And I feel like the Bengals. But the thing is, I'm surprised that Trey Henderson came back because I feel like he did have leverage. Maybe he didn't want to rack up those fines. Obviously, we saw that holdout last year with Hassan Reddick. My boy was out in Tokyo and shit, and I feel like it didn't work out well for him. You know what I mean?
Nah, yeah, man. You don't want to rack up them fines. I think it's like 50K a day, bro. So I know these players make good money, but ain't nobody trying to lose 50,000 a day.
Yeah, 50,000 a day. I think eventually he would have lost game checks if he would have missed the time, which is about $877,000 each. So it's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money, man. Any thoughts? Any other thoughts on the training camp stuff? All right, moving on. Next topic. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna talk about a little bit. We're gonna get into this football conversation. Continue with the football conversation. We got I feel like the most relevant sports news these days is just basically anything that Cam Newton says. He's single-handedly, keeping sports conversations alive. He's Cam Newton versus everybody these days. He made the controversial decision. I feel like he's stirring up controversy on purpose, but I think he's doing a great job of it. Made his little top 10 list, And he let Jalen Hurts off. He left him off the list, but it's not like he just left him off the list. He made a whole big song and dance about why he left him off the list. You know what I mean? He made him the whole focal point of the list, even though he wasn't on the list. So it was a whole bunch of stuff that was said. Apparently he communicated it in a very in a very clean way. But it's hard for me not to smell a little bit of jealousy on the breath of one Cam Newton, man. Seeing another man, do what you wish you could have did. But anyway, so the Jalen Hurts thing, man, that piggybacked into a whole situation with I think him and what's my man name from ESPN, Dan, white boy quarterback, Dan Orlovsky. Now they going back and forth and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's going crazy. But really, what this is about Cam Newton and Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? Which brings the conversation. This or that. Jalen Hurts or Cam Newton. Obviously, we're talking about different times. We are talking about some similar skill sets about the players, but different situations here for sure in terms of teams and everything like that, right? Cam Newton, we're talking about a former MVP. Jalen Hurts, we're talking about a Super Bowl champion. So, there's a lot of credentials on both sides. But I want to hear what y'all got to say on this one. Bryce, I'm going to start with you.
Man, I mean, listen, I like Jalen Hurts. It's hard not to like Jalen Hurts if you follow his college career. Adversity, persevered through it, made it to the league, and is winning despite being a lower pick at quarterback. But when we talk about Cam Newton was a transcendent talent at quarterback. All right. Jalen Hurts is I'd say he's the conductor of the train that is the best team in the league. But he's simply the conductor. He is not the train itself. All right. Cam Newton was the damn train for the Panthers, bro. This was a guy that could put a team on his back. 15-1 MVP. Cam Newton at his peak it's not even really all that close to Jalen Hurts as a player. Now, Jalen Hurts has intangibles that go in a sense transcend football, right? I would say his leadership, and another intangible Jalen has is the ability to be a clutch performer. All right. When the lights are the brightest, Jalen has his best game, and that's one of the things I admire about him. We've seen that time and time again. But as a player, we're just being honest, it ain't even all that close. It's Cam Newton over Jalen Hurts 10 times out of 10. Now, the interesting part about this is when we start, we always like to make a distinction between greatness and greatest and best, right? And if we're talking about greatness, when it's all said and done, Jalen Hurts may go down as the greater quarterback, right? The greater player. And he's not all that far from that because he's still got a lot on that plate, right? But better, ain't no way, bro. He ain't better than Cam Newton.
Okay, that's some fair points there. I'm not going to get into my full conversation here because I'm still in host mode. But I will say this. One thing I think is worth mentioning is their success in the postseason. I think that's a key conversation that needs to be had. Cam Newton's only 3-4 in his playoff career. Jalen Hurts is 6-3 in his playoff career. Jalen Hurts has been to a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, and he's won one. Cam Newton went to a Super Bowl, and he lost it, and he never went back. Rome, how you feeling, Cam Newton or Jalen Hurts? Who you taking in this argument?
Man, it's Cam Newton by a mile, bro. Let's be serious. And I hate to do this because I honestly like Jalen Hurts a lot. I've come on the show and I've been a Jalen Hurts supporter, to be honest. So I hate to even put these two against each other because they're both great quarterbacks in their own right. But let's just be real. What is Jalen Hurts good at, right? He's a smart, accurate passer, good leader, right? You can find quarterbacks that can do that. What is Cam Newton good at? Big, strong, crazy arm, could run like a tank. You don't find players like Cam Newton almost ever. Josh Allen is probably the closest thing that you got to Cam Newton right now. So if we're asking in a vacuum which player is better, 9 times out of 10, everybody's taking a player like Cam Newton who can literally carry a whole football team on his back. You don't get that in the sport of football. You don't get one player that can really make that entire difference and take a team that was 500 or below 500 and turn them into a 15-1 team. Is Jalen Hurts a great quarterback? Absolutely. Should we shame Jalen Hurts for being a product of a great team put together by Howie Roseman? Absolutely not. It's not Jalen Hurts' fault that he's got a great supporting cast. If he failed with that team, everybody would crush him. But he doesn't fail, so I'm not going to crush Jalen Hurts in any way. But what I'm saying is, if you were just to say, if it was just we went in the backyard to play football and you were picking Cam Newton or Jalen Hurts to be your quarterback, you're going to pick Cam Newton because you could just let him run around and do everything by himself. like that's the kind of player Cam Newton was, and those players in football are extremely rare. And that's no disrespect to Jalen Hurts. Everybody wants to point to the career accomplishments, and that's fine. That's fine because Cam Newton's never had a teammate like Jalen Hurts, and that teammate is Howie Roseman.
At the end of the day, though, man, I think results matter. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not buying it, right? So, and I'm gonna start with this because you're trying to make it so that Jalen Hurts. So one of the things is this, bro. Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP. All right, so let's just start there in terms of credentials. Pretty strong credentials, okay. So yeah, Cam Newton has a regular season MVP, but Jalen Hurts won the MVP of the biggest game in football, right? And that's the ultimate goal is to win. Win the championship. That's what everybody does every year. 32 teams. The goal is to win a championship, bro. The goal isn't to have great stats. The goal is to win a championship. That's what they play the game for. But I'm not going to make this all about winning because, I guess that's what y'all saying because he's on a good team. That's the issue. But I will also say that he's a better passer than Cam Newton in the sense of he's much more consistent as a passer. Cam Newton career percentage is under 60%, 59.9 to be exact. Jalen Hurts has a higher completion percentage than Cam Newton over the course of his career. Jalen Hurts is a 65% passer, and he has a higher passer rating than Cam Newton. So, obviously, you said that Cam Newton's got the arm. You put him on the back. Yeah, he's definitely got a powerful arm, but accuracy and consistency were some major issues, and let's not forget about that. All right. Yeah, Jalen Hurts, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Cam Newton's big and strong, and he could, you could build offense around him. Almost like they did with Jalen Hurts, because there's literally an offense built around him, and you have to account for the fact that that's part of Philly's running attack, is the guy who y'all said was a running back, but actually throws better than this guy who y'all said is a great quarterback. Funny how that works out. But, Newton, Cam had a good career, but, Hurts actually broke Cam Newton's record for the most touchdowns by a quarterback, rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in 2023. So, he's doing what Cam Newton did, and he's breaking things that Cam Newton did too. And
Cam Newton never did a tush push, bruh.
Never.
Fair enough, but maybe he should have. But you know what I'm saying? And that's the innovation. That's the innovation of the game. But
it's crazy because all Eagles fans can really point to is the winning, bro, and that's a product of Howie Roseman.
What are you talking about? I just gave 3 good points that didn't have anything to do with winning. But all right, hold on. I got one more great point for you too, and this is just this trajectory of growth of Jalen Hurts. All right, that's something I feel like is a great separator, and that's why I picked Jalen Hurts, because Cam Newton's career is done. We know what his career is. It's a finite situation. We know exactly what his career is, but we don't know what the rest of Jalen's career looks like, right? What we do know about Jalen is this current situation and where he started. This man started in the league where they wasn't even sure if they were going to play him at quarterback. They was talking about his throwing ability. Y'all was talking crazy about him his first year. And he just continued to work until he became a great passer.
Yeah, that's
and he became so good that he was in the conversation for MVP that one year. And like he never
became a great passer though.
Well, he improved. He's improved a great deal. and continue to
Bro, how
get
many
better.
yards did he have last year, bro?
Yo, this is a ridiculous conversation, bro. Like, let's keep it a beam, man. Like, Cam Newton was the league MVP. The league MVP. Cam Newton was looked at as the best QB in the league at one point. We're sitting here arguing. We're arguing about your guy coming off his Super Bowl win if he's better than a guy who in your words is done. Who in your words isn't playing anymore. Because we know Jalen Hurts isn't the best quarterback in the league right now. When Cam Newton took the Panthers to the Super Bowl, it was no question that was the best quarterback in the league.
Bro, based on Jalen Hurts' growth trajectory, it's not far-fetched to think that he could win an MVP in the future. He's only in his fifth season, bro.
Problem is Jalen Hurts isn't even the best quarterback in his division anymore.
Oh, bro, so he won't win an NFC East MVP in the future.
that MVP is officially out of his reach.
He won't win MVP of the Eagles. What are you talking about? Get out of here, man.
It's because of this bullshit ass narrative, bro. And they talking about y'all.
Was he y'all's MVP last year?
No.
Scrap, the narrative is because Jalen Hurts only threw for like 900 more yards than Saquon Barkley ran for.
But he only but he was in the MVP conversation the year prior when before Saquon came. Feel me? But you know, it's cool. But yeah, I'm not buying it, bro. I'm not buying, bro. I do believe Jalen Hurts is still improving, and he's still got a long career ahead of him. So now the conversation's going to change. Now the conversation right now is okay. He got one Super Bowl, and he got one Super Bowl MVP. Now, what if we're talking about Jalen Hurts in 5 years and 7 years, whatever his career ends up being? And we say, hey, he's been in 3 Super Bowls. He's been to 4 Super Bowls. He's won 3 of them. He has 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Now, what are we talking about? Are we talking about Cam Newton the same way we're looking at Jalen Hurts? I don't know if we are, because after a certain level of winning, you're having different conversations.
I do agree with that. But now you're projecting out something that's probably not going to happen, dog.
Yeah. What if I told you Jalen Hurts has hit his ceiling?
It doesn't matter.
Right.
He hasn't.
Because you have to be able to go. You have to evaluate the other side of this. Because like you just said, the best possible situation. I'm not saying it could never happen, but you're saying the best possible situation with Jalen Hurts. All right, what if he hit his ceiling right now and he never becomes anything more than what he is now? Then Cam Newton's better than him all time. Sorry.
Nah, but that's not a problem. It's not a problem because he
becomes another Trent Dilfer.
Nah, he's far from a Trent Dilfer, bro. He's in a situation.
This is what he becomes. This is what he becomes if he gets cast aside like a Nick Foles did or Carson Wentz did.
Yeah, but he ain't gonna get cast aside, bro. So the thing
why y'all cast aside Carson Wentz?
Bro, we're in a position right now, and don't act like y'all don't know. We're in a position right now that we're positioned to make a run again and probably be around in the picture for the next several years, bro. At least the next 4 years, the window is wide open for us to continue to dominate. We've built a team that's going to be around. So, like, we're going to be in the mix, bro. We have a good chance to get another chip, and we have a good chance to get more than one chip, bro. So when Jalen Hurts is in a 2-3 chip conversation, 4 and 4, and then we start getting into the higher conversations, we're going to be talking about him not with Cam Newton, because he's not going to be in that conversation anymore. We're going to be talking about him in conversation with the greatest quarterbacks. We're going to talk about the guys that won multiple Super Bowls, that won 3+ Super Bowls. We're going to be talking about guys like Brady, Montana, Steve Young.
Nah, buddy, we're not, bruh. We're not going to be ever comparing to those guys because he does not control the game or have the numbers. You can act like numbers don't matter, but your contribution to each W, that shit matters, bro. And Jalen Hurts does not have the same contribution to W's as Tom Brady's and Joe Montana's, bro. We're never going to be comparing those two guys, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
Bro, at the end of the day, the stats do matter. So, like, there are only 3 quarterbacks that have had more than 3 Super Bowls. So Jalen's been in the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years, bro. He's gonna go back. He's got a long career ahead of him. I feel like Jalen Hurts wins at least 3 Super Bowls. That puts him over Troy Aikman. If he gets 4, that puts him in the same conversation as Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana. And the only person above that conversation is Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, I got bad news, bro. Saquon Barkley isn't gonna run Jalen Hurts to 2 more Super Bowls, and whoever y'all got pushing his tush ain't gonna push it past 2 more Super Bowls either, bruh. You're
Hey,
not
it's
gonna
funny you
win.
say that though.
You're not gonna win Super Bowls throwing under 20 touchdowns a year, dog. It's not gonna
It's,
happen.
it's funny you say that though, because Saquon didn't run him into the Super Bowl. You're like literally Saquon got
Saquon didn't have 2,000 yards this season.
Saquon had a great season, bro. But when the lights was shining the brightest in the Super Bowl, he got shut down. Jalen
Yeah,
Hurts is the one that led them to the Super Bowl win. Let's not forget that.
Saquon got them there
No,
though,
no,
dog.
it
He
was
made your whole
defense.
season.
Eagles defense will won the Super Bowl, bro. I'm tired of these false ass narratives, man. Y'all, these narratives be crazy, bro. We already
Jalen
went
Hurts
over
was the
this,
Super
bro.
Bowl
Jalen Hurts
MVP.
did minimal. He was a game manager in the Super Bowl. That's what he was. All right, he was a game manager. The same thing that Trent Dilfer was for the Ravens. All right,
Trent
that's
Dilfer didn't win Super Bowl MVP, big dog.
don't matter. Somebody got to win it, bro. Who won it then?
I think Ray Lewis or some shit.
Yeah, and that's probably the same thing that should have happened in this Super Bowl. All right, it should have been the Eagles D line, and the MVP goes to Eagles D line. All right, because that's what happened, bro. Like, check the stats, dog. Jalen probably had 215, maybe 1 tud, maybe passing.
I think he had 2 tuds and a pick or something. It wasn't a stellar performance. I know that. Nothing he did all season was crazy, bro. He had the most mid-season for a quarterback to win the Super
He
Bowl.
had 2,900 yards passing.
Yeah, that's crazy. 18 touchdowns? Like, come on. But y'all want to tell everybody he's top 10. Like that's why it's crazy to me that Eagles fans came at Cam Newton the way they came at him, because like it's not like Jalen Hurts did anything to say that he's a top 10 quarterback.
I mean, y'all always like forget to add his like rushing stats in there. Like, okay, yeah, he threw for 225 or whatever and 2 tugs, but he also ran for like 70 plus. He had more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley did in the game.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean he had about 600, I think, six something total rushing yards. He had a nice year.
I'm not talking about the season. I'm talking about the game and Super Bowls, particularly. Y'all talking about his Super Bowl stats, right? He threw for 225 and 2 tugs, but y'all weren't that impressed by that. But he also ran for 72 yards and a touchdown. So, like, let's add that in when we're talking about that. And he outperformed his running back, who y'all said was the guy that took him to the Super Bowl, which I'm not going to disagree with that. He was a huge proponent in our run. But, like, let's not act like this man didn't outrush all the running backs in the game, too. All right? He outrushed the Chiefs running backs, too. I think that matters.
That's facts. No taking that from him.
When I did my QB rankings, I had him.
He was worthy of the MVP in the sense that they give it to the best offensive player in the game, but he was not the reason y'all won the football game, bro. Like, if that game would have been any sort of duel between Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, like, y'all would have been toast, bro. It was just a situation where y'all's defense completely took over. The Chiefs didn't get past the fucking 40-yard line until like into the third quarter, bruh. They didn't get past the 40-yard line, bruh. Like, it was a dominating, probably one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen, period. Not even in the Super Bowls, bruh. Like, the Chiefs couldn't drive the ball. They didn't get past the 40 or 50-yard line. Come on, man.
This is true. It was a dominating performance by the Eagles defense, but let's not act like 2 Super Bowls ago without Saquon Barkley that we were 1 drive away from winning that game, bro. That was a back and forth game.
Lost, bro. Y'all lost.
Yeah, we lost, but we was 1 drive away. It was a situation where either team could have won that game.
Bottom line,
but your defense failed you that time.
In that Super Bowl,
failed us.
In the Super Bowl that just passed, bro, there's probably 11 or 12 quarterbacks in the league that win that Super Bowl for the Eagles. That's the difference, bro.
I don't think so.
If I look at Brady's last bowl with the Bucks, or like you look at some of these quarterbacks that were the reason, they're the only ones in that year that could have won that, bro. And in this instance,
I mean, you speaking to the fact that I respect what you're saying, but I don't think that's an indictment on Jalen Hurts more than it just speaks to the fact that it was one of the most dominant defensive performances in Super Bowl history. You know what I mean?
agree.
I think Rome could have took us to the Super Bowl potentially with that defensive performance. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could have probably threw. You know what I'm saying? I could get us to the Super Bowl with that defensive performance. It was an outstanding defensive performance, and Patrick Mahomes didn't have a successful play until the fourth quarter when we stopped playing.
Nah, that's a fact. That's a fact, and that's why when I'm told like, well, you have to say Jalen's better than these people because he has a Super Bowl, and I just watch him win a Super Bowl with the most, the craziest defensive performance I've ever seen in my life, and probably historically one of the best defenses I've ever seen since I've watched football. What am I talking about? What are we talking about then? If we're talking about ranking Jalen Hurts based off the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but one thing we could say about true.
I already said
great
defensive. Clutch. Like I said,
great defensive. Yeah, but he's shown the propensity to get there, right? So there's no denial that there's a winning player that takes the team to the playoffs and he takes them to the Super Bowl. He's been there 2 of the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Mahomes was doing that. Obviously, he went there 4 years? Was it 4 years in a row? So I think the consistency of getting to the Super Bowl matters, and I feel like being in the Super Bowl, is not easy to do. You know what I mean? Y'all love Joe Burrow. He got to the Super Bowl. We had that conversation over here on the show a couple years ago where T said Joe Burrow's never going to make it back to the Super Bowl. And so far he hasn't. Josh Allen's never made it to the Super Bowl.
That's a great point though, Scruff, because Joe Burrow is certainly better than Jalen Hurts. And I think everybody here would agree.
Yet he hasn't. Yet. Like I said, but that's not what I'm trying to say. The point is, it's not that easy to get to the Super Bowl, and it ain't easy to get back. And then to keep getting back is even harder, man.
You know what makes it easier though? When you have a top 3 left tackle, Jalen Carter, was he probably a top 5 defensive tackle, top 3, top 3 running back, and he's probably number 1. Top 5 wide receiver. When you add all those things together, it starts to make it a little bit easier, especially when you compare him to a Joe Burrow, who has 2 top receivers, but none of those other things.
No, well, excuse me for having a competent GM. Like, I'm sorry.
Hey, Howie Roseman. That's what I'm saying. Y'all, you got to get the. You got the big Dom shirt. You got to get the Howie Roseman shirt.
I'll be happy. This is like a good conversation to have for me because it's like, all right, cool. We won a Super Bowl. Y'all trying to discount certain layers of how it happened. As discredit certain players' credibility or their level of greatness or whatever the case may be. That's fine. I really don't care. Like, you know what I mean? If we go to Super Bowl and we win, that's all I really care about. Like,
I think the Eagles.
I don't care.
The Eagles have
some old retired quarterback that never won a Super Bowl thinks he's better than my quarterback, and he's trying to use my quarterback's name and relevance to make himself relevant so he could pay his bills. Nah, I'm not impressed by that.
Nah, I just think they have a top 5 player in almost every position except quarterback, and that's okay because, like you said, y'all won the chip. So
if you have a top 5 player everywhere except quarterback, you're probably going to be in Super Bowls if you can just have a top 15 quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, Cam Newton better come on the show and talk that talk over here if he want that smoke. Cam, I'm right here. I'm right here, Cam.
Are you challenging Cam Newton?
Yeah, come out here, come show down to the debate, Cam, and we could talk, man. Since you you a thriving podcaster these days, you know what I'm saying? That's your new career. Honestly, he might end up being a better podcaster than he is a quarterback. Well, we'll see.
If that's the case, he'll be a damn good podcaster, right?
No, I'm not. And that's not even a shot at his NFL career. I'm thinking this guy has the ability to be one of the best. He's really great. I even enjoyed his interviews. Even I watched that interview with Jonathan Majors. I really enjoyed it.
I would say he honestly does have some pretty dope interviews. Funky Friday is dope too.
But he'll never win a Super Bowl, and we're never going to change that. Okay, so that's never going to change. But that Cam Newton
what's crazy, dog, is that was never the point, and that's why Eagles fans always come across as so bitter. I see somebody in the comments talking about "Go Birds," another bitter bird. Like, he didn't come at Jalen Hurts the person; he came at Jalen Hurts off his stats, off his numbers, off what he just did this season. And the first thing all the Eagles fans go and do is make it personal. But
Nah, he made it personal out of the simple fact that he tried to alienate another rising young black quarterback and use him as clickbait. That
What is
shit weak to me,
that?
bro.
Nah,
That
bro.
shit
That
weak
has
to
nothing
me,
to do
bro.
with it, bro.
That
Cam
shit
Newton,
weak to me, bro.
he comments on sports, bro. Like this is
Nah,
what he
he's
does, bro.
picking controversial topics that he knows is going to get people riled. The fact that they are comparable players, in a sense, is exactly why he chose to do that. Nobody, it wouldn't have been headline news if he said, "Oh, he left, I don't know, Matt Stafford or somebody off the list or some shit." They wouldn't have been as hot of a take. But when you're talking about a guy who like Cam Newton, who went to the Super Bowl, is a black quarterback, they have a similar play style, and then he says he's he's throwing a little shade to Jalen Hurts. That is controversial. You know what I'm saying? That is why it's controversial. That is why we're talking about it right now.
No, that's part of the reason. The other part of the reason why it's controversial is because everyone fucking knows, man. Like everybody knows that Jalen Hurts is not a top 5, top 10 quarterback, bro. Like a lot of people have this opinion, dog. It's not like, it's controversial because he just won a Super Bowl. Could that not make it controversial? Like, I mean, it's a good topic, bro. We've talked about it numerous times before Cam Newton ever said a word about it. We've had the same conversation about Jalen Hurts. So it's overall just a good topic, bro. And I think when people being mad at Cam Newton making this type of thing, no one would be making the claims you're claiming if it was Skip Bayless saying this. So, like, why are we mad that Cam Newton, who's now a media personality, is doing media shit? Like, okay. I mean, like, what are we mad about, bro? And I thought it was
Well,
a valid
that's the
take
part
from
that
him.
makes it. That's part of what makes it controversial, and that's part of what makes it appear personal. Because it's not Skip Bayless isn't saying I'm a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts.
He
He's
didn't
not a
do it,
He
bro.
quarterback.
He
didn't.
didn't
He
do
didn't
that.
say he's a better
This
quarterback.
is not. Nah, bro. He didn't do that, bro. He didn't do that. He didn't pull out any comparisons until people started going
Well,
crazy.
that's what
Brian started
happens,
going
though. That's
crazy
what
on him. Like they was
that's what
going
naturally
crazy on
happens.
ESPN, and they on ESPN started talking about what Cam Newton never did. And that's when Cam Newton said, "Wait a minute, I've done a whole lot." Like so, nah, bro, that's not even how it went, bro. Like
And
Cam Newton,
I'll address that comment too, because he said he contradicted himself in the original comment. He said Jalen Hurts, and I agree with this take too. He said Jalen Hurts is elite and can be elite, but he doesn't need to be elite. And like I said earlier, you had a top 5 player in almost every position. You don't need to be elite, and he didn't need to be elite until the Super Bowl, as Scruff pointed out, where he was indeed probably the best player on the field as far as offense.
Now I'll say this: I want the crowd to tap in, man. Jalen Hurts and Cam Newton. I want to hear what y'all thoughts are, man. But I like what you said right there, Rome. You said he didn't need to be elite, but he could be elite if he wanted to, but he didn't need to be. All right. So here's a quote, man, for you. It's just a life quote for you guys, right? So I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, and that's what Jalen Hurts is. He's a warrior in a garden, man. You know what I'm saying? He's chilling. But if you need that smoke, you feel me? He ready. He's ready to suit up, bro. But but you don't want to be a gardener in a war. That's not going to do you no good. You know, it's better to be prepared for the smoke. You know what I'm saying? So you don't gotta do that, bro. You don't gotta be a warrior everywhere you go. You don't gotta go chopping shit down, bro. It don't call for that, bro. We in the garden. We chilling here, bro. we up by like 50.
If y'all, if
Relax.
y'all, if y'all win the Super Bowl, I'm gonna send you a painting of Jalen Hurts as a warrior in a garden.
I would love that, bro. I'll put it on the wall right
If
here, bro. That
if,
should be a
if y'all
prized possession.
if y'all go back to back, I might have to hook you up with that.
hey, don't worry,
Hey, bro.
Rome. You won't have to worry about that. You'll be able to save your money, bro. Good. Ain't gonna be no bag of backs for Philly, man.
We will see, man. We will see. All right, but let's keep it pushing, man. I think we've hit this topic pretty hard here. Moving on. Last topic of the day. Some weird shit going on, bro. Some weird shit going on these days, bro. Was a guy. What was his name? Christian Wilkins, I believe his name is. Of the formerly of the Las Vegas Raiders, formerly a first round pick. Formerly just got a big contract, dude. And apparently they cut him because inappropriate activity or something, conduct related to the team, and apparently they say he was on some freaky shit or something. They say he kissed some dude on the forehead or something. Can y'all clarify what the fuck is going on here? And like, is that a waivable offense? It's definitely some freak weird shit. But is it some? Is it worth losing your job over and
Yeah, so
losing a key piece of your defense? Is it that serious, bro? What do you
so
think?
what they said they're waiving him for is I guess he had this foot injury last season. And keep in mind it's a different regime, right? The Raiders got Pete Carroll in them now, instead of Antonio Pierce. But they're saying the foot injury, he rehabbed it on his own. He's still in a walking boot. He's not going to be ready for the season. Can't participate at camp. So they're saying because he didn't rehab with the team, you didn't rehab correctly, you didn't opt for the surgery. So they're actually even trying to void all his guaranteed money as well. And that's the reason. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's the reason that they originally cut him. But then I believe it was Josina Anderson that came out with a report saying that there was an incident, and then Adam Schefter straight up confirmed that the incident was that Buddy kissed another player who is unnamed on the forehead. They said it was jokingly, but we're all grown men here, so we know that that is not a joke. Like, it is definitely not a joke if the person getting kissed on the forehead doesn't think it's funny. It's low key sexual harassment. Like I sticky
We're
situation.
talking about some real. We actually, this is actually way deeper than the NFL. This is bringing me back to college. We talking about college earlier. This is bringing me back to college. This is employment law, actually, as a matter of fact. Like, that's what this is. I'm thinking about it here because I'm reading more into it, and I'm discovering here. Like you said, they're trying to avoid $35 million worth of guarantees due to the dispute over the whole situation, the rehab approach, the return timeline, whoop de whoop. He then filed a grievance with the NFL Players Association. The Players Association gonna fight their ass off for that shit because like that's kind of crazy. You trying to take back my money, bro? Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's
After 5 games,
fucking crazy, bro. Nah, I'm fighting to the
crazy
death.
shit.
I'm fighting to the death for that money, Christian Wilkins. Goddamn. That is employment
Well,
law, bro.
he should have fought to death in that rehab.
Maybe so. Maybe so, bro. But and then so essentially a playful kiss on the teammate's head during the meeting, which reportedly led to an HR complaint. So we're really talking employment law. This is a sexual harassment in the workplace. But it's just kind of crazy to me. I think it could have been a warning. I don't think he needed to get cut. Personally, but Bryce, what are your thoughts here?
Fucking up the bag is crazy for one. Doing it for this reason is even crazier. Like, what are we even talking about here? Why is this even? How does this even happen, bro? Why is it even a headline? But I don't know, man. Christian Wilkins, I really wonder if he'll catch on another team at this point. I mean, I feel like if you're that careless with your bag, bro, like if you're doing, think about any other job, bro. You do that in any job, you're fired, bro. But like, what we supposed to just like be cool with it because of the NFL and be like, oh, it's locker, it's always crazy in the locker room. I'm like, nah, bro. These people are grown in the day, bro. Right? Like, you do that in any job, you're fired. So I'm not shocked that they waived him. I won't be shocked they don't have to pay him the full $35 million. I'm sure they'll come to some sort of agreement where he gets a portion of that. But tricking off your bag because you being a class clown or maybe you just going with whatever your preference is. Maybe it wasn't a clown. They say it was playful. Maybe it wasn't playful and he was just testing the waters. Who knows, man? But it's all blowing you back. You blowing 35 M's, bro. Like, over what, dog? Like, gotta feel like an idiot right now.
Yeah.
I will say this though. Regarding the team thing, we're going back to the team building angle I was talking earlier. I do respect the decision to waive them. Actually, that's what I thought about it. I do think like just based on this, I'm looking at it like kind of like an isolated incident, but I don't know what's going on in that locker room. So you got to talk about locker room culture. You guys talk about it being a new regime. We talk about establishing the culture. And we got some dude out here clowning, kissing people in the heads and shit. I don't know what else he was doing. Probably a whole bunch of other clown shit, like I said. Now I'm thinking to myself, like, this dude's a fucking distraction. Get him the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I don't blame him for that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Yeah, I agree. Testing the waters is diabolical. That shit sounds crazy, bruh. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. You know what I'm saying?
It's sad, dog.
If Michael Sam would have did that shit, it would have been crazy.
You had football kissing somebody, bro. What am I supposed to assume here, bro?
Also, what's craizy is like I don't know.
Playful. I mean, don't seem playful to me.
I don't know the timeline, but like, was brother lacking on his rehab and came back kissing niggas on the forehead? Like you in the walking booth still? Like you don't got time for rehab, but you got time to be playful in the locker room.
Right.
You know, some countries kiss on the cheek. You know, go to France. That's common.
I know dudes that don't even kiss their lady on the forehead, bro.
Like I don't know like where that's permissible in any workplace, bro. That's
not one.
That's the real bottom line. That's not permissible in any workplace, bro. And you are in a workplace where you got 35 M's on the line, and you out here playing game. I'm gonna go with the playful side of it. That's what they saying is it was a joke. So you out here playing games with 35 M's on the line, bro. You're not serious, bro. You're not a serious guy, bro. Just get out. You cut. Like I'm cutting them instantly. If I'm the GM, I'm cutting you instantly, bro. Like you're not serious, bro. Like let's get out of here.
You know, I actually, I don't know about how this money shit gonna play out, but again, I do feel like the Raiders had some legitimate, reasons to get rid of him. You know, behavioral and cultural misalignment. You know, unwanted.
You run a business. You run a business.
Yeah.
You got employees, and you hear one of your employees, the biggest employee you got is out here kissing people on the forehead, bro.
Nah, bro, you made a good point. If I'm the GM, bro, I'm looking at you like you're not even a serious person, bro. We got real shit going on, and you doing this goofy shit with this kind of money on the line.
And I guess he did it to a kicker or a punter or something. Yeah, it's gonna come out that it was randomly the kicker or something like that, bro. Because ain't nobody else going to HR, bro. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else is going to HR over that shit. Everybody else is gonna find another way to handle it. All right. But
feeling like you even got to go to HR is crazy.
It's crazy, bro. You know how bullied you got to feel to go to HR. It's insane, dog.
That's insane.
Because you know everybody gonna know it's you that went to HR.
You know, you just reminded me of one time somebody sent me to HR. Crazy.
Hey, bro. HR, man. They work for the company. Remember that, people. Your HR at your job, they work for your company, bro. I'm not saying they don't have to follow rules that benefit you in some ways, but they don't work for you, bro. You don't pay you don't write their checks. The same company you working for writes their damn check.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact, man. That's a fact. You know, professionalism does matter, man. It is an important thing in employment relationships. You know what I mean? Team structures and team cultures. You know, across all teams. You know, whether you a fucking janitor, UPS team, team of project managers. You know, I think there would be inappropriate conduct in all of those places. So,
honestly, not now. I want to know who it is though, because like he's lucky he didn't get caught with a straight uppercut, bro. Like you can't just do that to any old person, bro.
There's maybe 2 jobs in the world where like you could kiss someone on the forehead of your job place and not get fired. One is the strip club, and I don't even know what the next one is. But like, my man treat the NFL like it's a strip club. You're at work kissing people, bro. Yeah, you're fired, bro. Get the hell off my team, bro. I'm not even thinking twice from the GM, and I'm fighting.
So do you think?
I'm not paying him.
You think he gets signed? Huh? You think he gets signed somewhere else? You think he's done in the league or what?
Bro,
I think someone's gonna sign him because like he's
my team sign him. You know,
I was gonna say all jokes aside, he's a good player. Nah, I'm telling you now, Dan Quinn and Adam Peters ain't going for that, bro. If they're gonna hold up an upstanding citizen like Terry, they're definitely not going to waste time on a Diddy guy like fucking Christian Wilkins.
Call that man a Diddy guy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
bro. I think T shared it, man. It's this crazy tweet of him doing like the splits after a college game, like. Boy, been a freak, bro. Like it's been rumors. It's been rumors about him. I'm not gonna speculate live, but it's been shit spinning.
I will say this about him though, and this is something worth saying because I said talent is talent. And teams are gonna, they are gonna kick the can on talent, see what's going on. So there are multiple teams that have had conversations about signing Wilkins. Two potential suitors are the New England Patriots. Wilkins actually hails from Massachusetts. And they had some conversations with him. And then the Minnesota Vikings. Derek Flores reported that defensive coordinator, former Dolphins head coach, who actually coached Wilkins, would be open to signing him for a minimum contract.
That's crazy.
Michael
Minnesota already got some
went from the
dogs.
big bag. He went from 35 million. He gonna need every bit of that 35 million now.
Go 35 M's to a minimum contract. You out here playing
all over some goofy shit.
You out here playing games.
Yeah, you're right. Not a contender. Yeah, you're right. But like I said, if you want a bad team and you need talent, I'll tell you what team should look at. I'll tell you what team would sign him or should sign him. The Cincinnati Bengals. You feel me? He'd be a key player on that defense. You feel me? I don't even think they would say anything. I would think if he kissed somebody on that defense, I don't think HR would side with the team on that one. They might say, "Shit, fuck it, dog."
HR's investigations have been closed. Let it have been like, let it have been like a legit baller though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, that HR investigation would have been closed so quick. And that is the wild thing, bro. Let it have been, I don't know, man, Micah Parsons or somebody.
Miles Garrett.
Yeah, let it Miles Garrett, bro. Like, HR investigation closed, so there was no evidence of any wrongdoing.
Yo, but that's the thing. The context matters, man. Context matters.
Like you making 35 M's, and we already think you kind of falling off. You're not taking your rehab seriously. You just gave us a reason to cut you, bro. Thank you.
Nah, as soon as they said they were taking the guarantees back, I was like, oh, this is serious, bro. They don't never do that.
That guy is worse than the kiss. Funny ass topic, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah. Weirdo shit.
If they sign him before they re-sign Trey Henderson, if I'm Henderson, I'm going straight back to Florida, bro. Like, ain't no fucking way.
Yo, sign him right next to Henderson. Make him feel uncomfortable.
That's crazy, word.
Like, man. All right, man. Good topic. Good show, man. Good show. Thanks for everybody that's hanging with us. Y'all hanging with us. Y'all some troopers, man. Hit that subscribe button. You feel me? We here every Tuesday, bro. Every Tuesday we live. You don't gotta watch us live though. You can catch us on the road, on the way home from work. You know what I'm saying? You on the elliptical. You need something to watch. You know what I'm saying? Watch this joint. You could got a good 52 minutes of cardio and good sports conversations, bro. I'll be needing some entertainment when I'm doing that shit. But real talk, man. Good show, good fellas. And y'all know how we end every show.